welcome you to the Messiah Revelation channel, a prophetic channel dedicated to end time events, awakening and the Hebrews, awakening the followers of the Messiah for the arrival of the Messiah, for the regathering of the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah, preparation for final judgment as the final trumpet of heaven sounds based upon Revelation. And today my message is dedicated to a member of this channel. You go by the name Rivka Yashere 543. Rivka Yashere 543. And I'm going to use this opportunity to comment on your comments. I made a video on a sister, and I talk about how some people, both on the internet and off the internet, they are discrediting Christianity, and some of them have gone to the extreme of saying that Christianity is of the devil, and so people should not embrace Christianity. I did a video, and as a result of the video, you made a comment. You go by the name Rivka Yashere 543. So today I'm going to look at your comments. Primary observation is that Hebrew Israelites and Hebrews who are also Christians following the Messiah, the true teachings of the Messiah. The Messiah is the key. The Messiah is the key for the Hebrew Israelites. The Messiah is the key for those who are genuinely Christians. You are the reason why the Messiah sent the letters to the 7 churches in the book of Revelation. So, Rivka Yashere, I'm going over the points you made, and I will go over the points one by one. Point number 1, you said state Christianity persecuted Hebrew Israelite apostles. Christianity aligned with the government all over the years persecuted Hebrew Israelite apostles. You made a comment like that. I believe you are right. So I agree with you. Christianity aligned with governments all over the world, particularly in Gentile Europe, persecuted the apostles. People make a mistake when they talk about the apostles. They think that the apostles, all of them, were white men and white women, but the apostles in the Old, New Testament, if you look at their background, you know who they are. You can identify them. I will encourage you to read Bible commentaries and Black Heritage and Study Bible. And that Bible is very, very important, because when you read such Bibles, you read the Bible and put it in a context, so that you, as a black man, you find yourself in the Bible, and it will increase your faith. And so, Rivka, I agree with you. Christianity aligned with the state persecuted Hebrew Israelite apostles. And I will go further and also say that in modern times, at the time when we are preparing for the regathering of the scattered of Israel, it's not only state supported Christianity. I will also talk about apostate Christianity I'll talk about governments, and I'll talk about intelligence agencies. I'll talk about the 1948 state. All of them will combine to persecute Hebrew Israelite apostles. And when I say apostles, I include those who are doing the awakening of the Hebrew Israelites who are scattered over the world. The persecution will come in different forms, extreme and also low key. And in the low key, they will even mess up with your platforms, and they will mess up with the comment people make. They will mess up with your subscription numbers in order to frustrate you. Is part of the persecution. And so I agree that state aligned Christianity persecuted the Hebrew Israelite apostles, the black men and black women who are apostles of the Messiah. You made another point, so I'll go point number 2. Hebrews don't have to convert to Christianity. It's a very important point that you made. You said Hebrews don't have to convert to Christianity. And I'll put it in the context that they are black men and women who consider themselves as Hebrew Israelites. And some of them believe that they don't have to be Christians. And of course, there are some men and women who are Christians, and they believe that they don't have to be Hebrew Israelites. And some of them are not even aware that originally, by descent, by blood, by lineage, by genealogy, they are Hebrew Israelites. And so the confusion is going on. And the point you made is that Hebrew Israelites don't have to convert to Christianity. In other words, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, there's no need for you to join a church. I have issues with your comment, and I will want to discuss your point, and I will go into the Bible. I'll go to the Acts of the Apostles, and I will focus on Apostle Paul. And Apostle Paul, who was Apostle Paul? Apostle Paul was a Benjamite. He was from the tribe of Benjamin. He said it, and so he is an Israelite. And before he followed the Messiah, what was he doing and what did he believe in? Number one, he was a Pharisee. And it means that he followed the traditions of men, and he was very extreme in following the traditions of men, and he believed in the prophet Moses and believed that Moses was the greatest prophet of all, and he believed in the Torah, the writings of the prophet Moses. No other writing should contradict it. And Paul also persecuted the followers of the Messiah, the true Messiah. And Paul writes that he thought he was doing the right thing, and he didn't know that he was wrong. He didn't know he was following false doctrines. And so one day on the road to Damascus, something happened, and the Messiah appeared to Paul in the form of a light. And then the Messiah said, "You are persecuting me directly because you are killing my followers. And because you are killing my followers, you are persecuting me. because you are frustrating my followers. You are persecuting me, the Messiah. And it's true, because if you look at Stephen, he was the first follower of the Messiah, first Christian to be killed, to be martyred. And legends say that Paul was around when Stephen was stoned to death. And Stephen preached about the Messiah, and he said that the Messiah is greater than Moses, because Stephen said Messiah is greater than Moses. He was stoned to death. And so when we look at Paul, there was a time when he changed as a Pharisee, believing in traditions of men and followed the teachings of the Messiah. And so when Paul followed the true teachings of the Messiah, because the Messiah appeared to him directly, Paul became the apostle unto the Gentiles. The title was not conferred on Paul by Paul. The title was conferred on Paul by the Messiah, so that a Hebrew Israelite will now preach the true teachings of the Messiah to the Gentiles who are not Hebrew Israelites. And you can also see how Paul changed. Paul changed because he was already a Hebrew, but there was a time that he converted. And the word conversion is very, very important. And so, Revka, you are saying Hebrew Israelites don't have to convert to Christianity. You are using converting or conversion to mean to change to something else. Did Paul change? Yes, he did change. Did he change his Hebrew identity? No, because he was a Hebrew, and once you are a Hebrew, you are always a Hebrew. What Paul changed was his belief. First of all, he was a devout non-believer in the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, born in Nazareth. And he was a divine non-believer in the resurrection of the Messiah. And he was a divine non-believer in the gospel of the Messiah. That's why he was going around persecuting the followers of the Messiah. But when you see Paul converting, I don't want to use conversion in the sense of changing his Hebrew identity, but rather changing his mind, his belief in the gospel, in the book, his belief about the Messiah. He became a follower of the Messiah, and you can see that a Hebrew Israelite is responsible for writing almost one third of the Bible as we see it. And you see a Hebrew Israelite preaching the gospel to Gentile people all over the world. And it's the gospel of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So you can see that Paul was a Hebrew and he changed to be a follower of the Messiah. He spread the gospel of the Messiah to all the four corners of the earth. Paul went on 2 missionary journeys to areas far away and preaching the gospel of the Messiah to all the four corners of the earth. And so, Rivka, when you say Hebrew Israelites don't have to convert to Christianity, I'm not sure whether you disagree with what Paul did. A Hebrew Israelite following the Messiah and writing to Gentiles to follow the Messiah at a time when the Pharisees were persecuting the followers of the Messiah, at the time that the Pharisees and the Sadducees did not even believe in the Messiah. They didn't believe in his virgin birth. They didn't believe in his death and resurrection. They didn't believe in his deity. Two conversions are important in the Bible, particularly in the New Testament. And we've already talked about the conversion of a Hebrew Paul to be a follower, a Christian, a leader of the Church of Christ. And so that is very, very important. And research has shown that Paul, a Benjamite, was mistaken to be an Egyptian, showing that Paul definitely was a black man. So you saw in Paul a black Hebrew Israelite who believes in Moses, um, believing in the Messiah, who is greater than Moses, and also believing in the message of the Messiah to preach the gospel of salvation to Gentiles. The second conversion is the conversion of Cornelius. And I believe you read Acts chapter 10, Cornelius' story is there. And Cornelius was a Roman general. Probably he was a white man from Rome. And he was doing good things for the Hebrews. And the Messiah asked Peter to go and preach the good news of the Messiah to Cornelius. So Cornelius is an example of somebody who was not an Israelite. He was not a Hebrew Israelite, but he believed in the God of the Hebrew Israelites, and he was doing good to the Hebrew Israelites. And so the Lord rewarded him by giving him salvation, himself and the members of his family. And so if Revka, you say that Hebrews don't have to convert to Christianity, my answer is that whether you are a Christian or you are a Hebrew Israelite, the Messiah is the key, and there's no contradiction, there's no confusion. And once you know that the Messiah is the key, you will know what to do. If you're a Hebrew Israelite, you know the Messiah is the key. What will you do? You follow the teachings of the Messiah. If you're a Christian, you know the Messiah is the key. What do? You follow the teachings of the Messiah, and so there's no confusion at all. Point number 3. Rivka, you made a comment that our forefathers were the custodian of law, statute, and commandments. And I believe you are trying to say that the Bible has been distorted, and it's true, because you need to be aware that the custodian of the law, the statutes, and the commandments in the Bible, the prophets, they were not white men, white women. You should read the history books. You should read the Bible very carefully, and I'll refer you to Black Biblical Heritage, a book written by John Johnson. So I believe in what you said, that the custodian of law, the custodian of the statutes and the commandments, they were black people. And you can even enlighten European Christians by telling them that the early Christians were black. You can even enlighten them by telling them that Simon of Cyrene, who carried the cross of the Messiah, was a black man. Probably they don't know. So you should do the awakening, not only to black men and women, but also to the Gentiles, so that they will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. Point number 4. Caesar Borgio Christianity does not accept the true identity of the Messiah. And I agree with you. Christianity was Europeanized, and everything about Christianity was whitewashed, The knowledge is there now. Putin has actually come out with the icons depicting black biblical characters, and Caesar Borgia changed the face of Christianity when he commissioned the painting of um, a white Jesus. And if somebody paints a white Jesus or changes the skin color of the Messiah, it means that the person doesn't believe in the original skin color of the Messiah. And so I agree with you. Those who believe in whitewash Christianity are not the followers of the Messiah. They don't accept the identity of the Messiah. And I'm sure if you do a poll, particularly in Europe, white Europe and white America, a lot of people will say, or some people will say that if the Messiah, Jesus, were a black man, they would not worship him. I'm sure people will be very honest. If CBNN does a poll, will you worship the Messiah if you found out that he was a black man? Oh, I'm sure that among the KKK organization, I would say majority of them will say no, we are not going to worship the Messiah because he's black. We didn't know. And recently I heard some people even burn their Bibles when Putin came out with the revelation that Yeshua, Jesus Christ, was a black person. In fact, their faith was shattered, and some of them were weeping, and some of them understand even meant their Bible. These are people who do not accept the true identity of the Messiah. And so the point you made, Rivka Rashere, is a very good point. You also made another point. Western Christianity was part of a conspiracy to confuse God's people with half truths. I repeat, Western civilization was part of a conspiracy to confuse God's people with half truths. You are going very deep, and your argument is that when we say Christianity, we have original Christianity as preached by the Messiah and his apostles, and even including the early Christians. But Christianity has been westernized or whitewashed, and you are saying that that is a conspiracy to confuse God's people. When God's people, you are talking about uh, Hebrew Israelites who are Israelites and Gentiles who are true followers of God. You are saying Western Christianity is a conspiracy to confuse God's people. To some extent, you are right. Was there a conspiracy? Yes. When King Leopold II of Belgium told the Christian missionaries that when you go to Congo, confuse the people with the Bible. He specifically told them, confuse them, tell them that when you go into hardships, when you suffer on earth, you enjoy in heaven, and you need to serve your masters because the Bible says that slaves should serve their masters. So Leopold II specifically encouraged or conspired, if I have to use the word, conspire with the early Christians to use half truths to confuse God's people. So you are right. You are also right because a slave Bible was written in the United States to confuse the Hebrew Israelites. And of course, those people who wrote the slave Bible and they were aware of what they were doing. William Lynch provided ideas for the slave masters, and they conspired to confuse the people of God with half truths. So the gospel that they preached were half truths. And so that is a conspiracy in that sense. However, I should also say that Western Christianity may not necessarily be a Christianity. Um, of course, it's not a Christianity, it's Western Christianity. But I would say Western Christianity will not necessarily conspire to deceive God's people. And I'm saying this because if you have somebody who was taught in Christian churches in Europe or anywhere, and the Bibles and the preachings always emphasize whiteness and white supremacy, that person will become a supremacist in his beliefs, even his beliefs about God, racial supremacist belief about God. And so, whatever he will preach is what he knows. What he knows about the Bible is that God is white, Jesus is white, the apostles are white. And what he knows from the Bible is the theology of the curse of harm. And this is what he knows, the curse of harm. All black people are cursed. And so that person has a confused mind. And when somebody has a confused mind, he will teach confusion. And so you are right, Western Christianity was part of conspiracy to confuse God's people by teaching half truths. You need to be very aware that when we talk about half truths, it is not only Western Christianity that teaches half truths. You get black men, black women who also teach half truths. In the end times, you see a lot of deception on the internet. People do research, and I don't know where they get their sources. I don't know where they get their inspiration. And so you see a black person purporting to preach the gospel on the internet. And some things are truth, and a lot of things are lies. It's a mixture of truth and lies. And so you need to be very, very aware of that. There may not be a conspiracy to confuse black people, but it's actually a satanic agenda by using whitewash Christianity to confuse the chosen of God, the people of God. In the same way, we can also encounter a situation where people will confuse the chosen of God by infusing what they call African spirituality into the gospel of the Messiah. Let me give you an example. Rituals, human sacrifice, is going on. Is going on in some churches, not only in Africa, but also in the Caribbean. Pastors who are supposedly Christian and pastors, they perform rituals, rituals of human sacrifice in order to get more power, in order to get more congregation. And they preach that the white man brought a white religion, and so Africans should go to their roots, should worship the gods of the ancestors, should worship the ancestors, ancestral worship. That is paganism, and white Christianity is an abomination, and African paganism is also an abomination to the true teachings of the Messiah. Don't you remember that the Lord scattered the Hebrew Israelites because of idolatry, worshiping other gods that are not the true God of the universe. And so it goes both ways. Western Christianity confuses God's chosen people in the same way that people who call for African spirituality and worshiping of ancestral worship, they are all part of it. They are all part of the problem of confusing God's chosen people with heretical preachings and heretical messages. Rivka, you also made a point about the comment I made about Deborah, Sister Deborah, an African American, operating a channel, redirecting Proverb 31. Redirecting Proverb 31. And she's doing a lot of awakening of the Hebrews. She also made a comment that Christianity is of the devil, and there's a demon angel assigned to Christianity. And I made a comment, I made a video condemning the heretical preaching, and I did it, and I'm doing it again, and I'll also do it again if she continues to preach heretical teachings about the Messiah. And I did a video responding that Christianity has been an apostate Christianity up to now. We are in the era of the coming of the Messiah, where the Messiah is looking for a church that is without spot and without wrinkle. But to preach that Christianity is a religion of devils is extreme. And I'm sure you can say that Christianity was used to colonize some people. Christianity was used to promote injustice among people. But that doesn't mean that Christianity, as brought by the Messiah, as preached by the Apostle Paul and the early Christians, was a religion of demons, religion of devils. You go that extreme, you are being heretical. There was a time that the Messiah was preaching and the Messiah was healing, and the Pharisee went to the Messiah and said, "Your power is from the Beelzebul. The power that you are using to preach is from the Beelzebul, so you are demonic." And they were saying this about the Messiah. And so if you are awakening Hebrew Israelites and you go to the stream that Christianity is a religion of demons, you are being heretic. And so I stand by my comment regarding Sister Deborah, regarding her teachings about Christianity and lumping Christianity into a box and preaching in such a way that people who are black men and black women will lose their faith in Christianity. And that is heretical teaching. It is an apostate teaching. And so I still go by my comments on Sister Deborah, an African American who has a channel redirecting Proverbs 31. Rivka Yashere, you made a point and you quoted the prophet Ezekiel, and you said that Ezekiel prophesied that there will be a time when the children of God will be in captivity and they will eat bread mixed with human waste. And you made an excellent application. And the application that you made is that the men and women who are in captivity, they have a bread. The bread is the scriptures. the religion that they follow. And that religion is being contaminated with human waste, is being contaminated with paganism, contaminated with racist doctrines, contaminated with Illuminati and Freemason practices. And so today there are churches where the pastors, they are great pastors, they are Masonic pastors. And it's very, very unfortunate. If you were to mention the names, um, there will be great pastors in America, including those great men and men of the Bible who are members of the Mason. And so the scripture is mixed with human waste, as prophesied by the prophet Ezekiel. And so you see human waste in bread. And your application is very interesting because you see corruption of the teachings of God, the teaching, the commandments of God is mixed with human waste. It is polluted. It is defiled. It's defiled because now you see mega churches where pastors are saying that you can be a Christian and gay at the same time. They are giving you food offered to idols. And so you are right, Rivka, you are right that the prophecy of Ezekiel, that the children of God will go into captivity and they will eat bread that is mixed with human waste. Here you see that the teachings of some pastors is worse than human waste mixed with bread, because there are a lot of oil, anointed oil, a lot of water. They breast the water. I'm talking about churches in the Caribbean, in Africa. So many rituals are performed. The drinking water that they sell, the anointing oil that they sell, they are mixed with waste, and some of them are even human waste, literal human waste, mixed with oil, mixed with water, and they sell it. And so when TB Joshua went to Ghana some time ago, people were rushing to buy TB Joshua's anointed water, and they were in a stampede, and some of them died in the stampede. They were going to buy anointed water mixed with demonic materials. And so you are right that the teachings, whether you are talking about the teachings of Christianity or teachings of Hebrew Israelites, some of them, they mix it with half-truths, they mix it with traditions of men, they deviate, and they confuse the people. And so the confusion goes on. The children of God are eating bread that is mixed with human waste. The children of God are in churches where the true gospel is not being preached and people are led astray. Example, TD Jakes, Porterhouse. Example, countless churches in Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya, and Jamaica, Barbados. They are mixing human waste with bread, meaning they are polluting the gospel. And there are a lot of churches that are preaching false doctrines. Once you are saved, you are saved forever. Rivka, you also made a comment on the rapture. Many people don't believe in the rapture. Is the rapture a false doctrine? And I will reserve a special video on the rapture. My commentary is that the rapture is real because I've had visions about the rapture. The rapture is coming, but there are certain teachings about the rapture that are not true. And I wouldn't say somebody who preaches those things necessarily is doing it intentionally. Probably that's the belief. In America, a lot of evangelicals, particularly white evangelicals, they've written countless numbers of books on the rapture. And some of them believe that the rapture will come and they will be raptured. And the rapture will leave the Israelites behind. In fact, when they were talking about the Israelites, they were talking about the Israel of 1948. And so when the rapture comes, only quote unquote believers in Christ, Christians will be raptured, but the Israelites will be left behind. And they thought that the Israelites are the Israelites of 1948 state, the state of Israel. So the rapture is real, even though it's not in the Bible. That's my preliminary observation. It's based upon revelation. So the rapture is real. You also talk about regathering. Regathering would be a shock because most people don't believe black people are the chosen of God. And that's the comment you made. Regathering, the regathering of the Hebrews would be a shock. You are right. And I will be shocked myself. You will be shocked yourself. Because you'll be shocked because of the event, the scale of the regathering, and how prophecy will be fulfilled. The Messiah will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah from all the four corners of the earth. And the book of Isaiah is very clear that no longer would there be a confusion between Ephraim and Judah. No longer would there be confusion between blacks who are in the US and blacks who are in the Caribbean, blacks in Africa, blacks in Asia. The prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 37 is very clear that the two sticks will be joined together, the stick of Ephraim and the stick of Judah, and they will be one, and there will no longer be confusion. Rivka, you also call about unity of faith. People should unite in their faith. And I'm saying that whether you are a Hebrew Israelite or you are a Christian, the Messiah is the key. Following the Messiah is the key. And once you follow the Messiah, there's no confusion between a Hebrew Israelite and a Christian. There's no confusion between Paul, a Hebrew, and Paul, a follower of the Messiah. There was no confusion at all. No confusion between Cornelius, a Gentile, and Cornelius, a follower of the Messiah. No confusion. No confusion. And so if a Gentile Cornelius, following revelation from God himself, became a follower of the Messiah and accepted to be baptized by the apostle Peter, and there shouldn't be any confusion for a Gentile following the Messiah. And as I said, if your brother Paul, a Benjamite, a black man, a Benjamite, the one who was mistaken to be an Ethiopian, a black man, a Hebrew, a lawyer, and somebody who didn't believe in the Messiah, somebody who believed in the traditions of men, somebody who was persecuting the followers of the Messiah, he turned around he converted to be an apostle unto the Gentiles, an apostle of Christianity, and there's no confusion. And so there should be no confusion between Hebrew Israelites and Christians. As long as the Messiah is the key and you follow the teachings of the Messiah, you'll be saved. Because the Messiah is the enzyme for Israelites and the Gentiles. And Isaiah 11:11 is saying that he will be an enzyme for the Gentiles, and he will at the same time gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah from all the four corners of the earth. And so I thank you, Rivka Rashere 543, for the comment that you made. And this is my preliminary response to the comment that you made on the video I did on how some people are preaching heretical messages about Christianity. I will continue to do more exposés on the issue of Hebrew Israelites and Christianity in the future, so that there wouldn't be any confusion, because what unites us is greater than what divides us. The Messiah unites us, is greater than the Old Testament, greater than the New Testament, greater than all the prophets and the apostles, and he is the one who is coming to rule. And Putin just told you that the icon that they have shows that he was a black man. And so if you're a black Hebrew Israelite, or you are a black Christian, and that should give you a hope. That should unite you. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Thank you.